has expired. This
He's my GOAT. That is what many longtime fans still say about the Dynamite Kid. But saying it is easy. Living it nearly destroyed him. Dynamite Kid gave his body to wrestling in a way almost no one else ever did. He hit harder, he jumped higher. He took bumps that should have ended his career years before they did. That pain became part of his legend. But pain is not the whole story. The real story is about the men who stood across the ring from him. 7 opponents pushed Dynamite Kid to become the wrestler fans still talk about today. They did not just fight him. They pulled out sides of him that no one else could reach. If you love old-school wrestling stories like this one, you can help more fans find it. Just use the hype feature and give this video some hype. It only takes a second, and it helps keep stories like Dynamite Kid's alive for new fans to discover. Before he was Dynamite Kid, he was just Tom Billington, a boy from Golborne in Lancashire, England. He grew up in a tough, working-class part of the country where wrestling was treated like a real sport, not just a show. From a young age, Tom showed a hunger for the ring that most kids his age did not have. He wanted to learn real holds, real escapes, and real control, not just tricks for the camera. Young Tom trained under hard old coaches named Ted Betley and Jack Fallon. These men did not care about flashy moves. They cared about control, leverage, and timing. They came from a world of catch wrestling, where every hold had a purpose and every escape had to be earned. They taught him how to grab a hold and make it look real. They taught him how to escape and how to make the crowd believe every second of it. This kind of training was slow and demanding. There were no shortcuts and no easy nights. Tom stepped into the world of British wrestling through joint promotions and a TV show called World of Sport. Millions of people watched every week, making it one of the biggest stages a young wrestler could hope for. It was there that young Billington began to build the skills that would carry him around the world. He learned mat wrestling. He learned crowd control. He learned how to turn a small man into a dangerous man using leverage instead of size. This early training gave him a base that nobody could ever take away, no matter where his career led him next. But training is only half the story. He needed real opponents to sharpen him. 3 men from this early British world helped shape him the most. Alan Dennison taught him respect. Jim Breaks taught him how to build tension. Marty Jones taught him how to survive a hard pace. Without these 3, Dynamite Kid may never have become the wrestler the world later feared and admired. Alan Dennison was already a respected veteran when a teenage Billington stepped into the ring with him. On June 30th, 1976, young Tom faced Dennison in a hard match on live television. During the fight, Tom hurt his throat on the top rope. It looked bad. Dennison could have used that moment to make himself look tougher. Many wrestlers would have kept attacking. Dennison did not. Instead, Dennison stopped. He broke the match to protect the injured teenager instead of taking advantage of the moment for his own benefit. He made sure Tom was safely looked after backstage until he knew the young wrestler was truly okay. That single choice changed young Billington's understanding of the business more than any technical lesson ever could. Dennison later became a mentor to him, teaching him how to read a crowd and how to move through a match with real control instead of pure aggression. Dennison showed Dynamite Kid that toughness without trust means nothing in a business built on cooperation. A wrestler could hit hard and still protect the man across from him. That lesson stayed with Dynamite Kid for the rest of his career, long after he left Britain behind. Jim Breaks was a different kind of teacher. Breaks was one of the smartest technical wrestlers in Britain. Billington won the British Lightweight Championship from opponents in that scene on April 23, 1977. He later won the British Welterweight Championship on January 25, 1978. Jim Breaks stood at the center of that rise. Breaks used painful-looking joint locks and sharp counters that forced young Tom to think fast and fight from underneath. Every match with Breaks felt like a puzzle. Tom had to earn his escapes instead of simply muscling his way out of trouble. This taught him how to build real tension in a match, slowly raising the stakes until the crowd could barely stay in their seats. Fans were not just watching hard hits, they were watching a story of struggle and payoff unfold in front of them. Breaks helped Dynamite Kid learn that a great match is not only about strength. It is about making people believe every second matters, from the opening lockup to the final pin. Marty Jones brought something completely different. Jones was a strong, skilled grappler who refused to slow down. Their matches on World of Sport moved fast from the very first bell. Jones did not let Tom rest in a hold. Every second was a fight for control. Jones threw stiff forearms and hard European uppercuts that forced young Billington to match his pace or get run over. This rivalry pushed Tom's body and his instincts to a new level. He had to develop faster counters just to survive a single match. He had to hit harder just to keep up with a man who never gave him a moment to breathe. Out of this pressure came the stiff, high-impact style that would define Dynamite Kid for the rest of his life and follow him all the way to Canada and Japan. Marty Jones and Tom Billington remained close friends for years afterward, built on the respect that came from pushing each other so hard in the ring, night after night, in front of demanding British crowds. By 1978, the British scene could not hold him anymore. Tom Billington moved to Calgary, Alberta, in Canada to join Stu Hart's Stampede Wrestling. He trained in the famous Dungeon, a brutal basement where wrestlers were tested to their limits before they ever stepped in front of a crowd. It was here that Billington's style met a new kind of test, one built on realism and ring smarts rather than pure technical grappling. That test came from a young wrestler named Bret Hart. At first, Bret's amateur style felt stiff and rigid to Billington. Their early matches did not flow the way Tom wanted them to. He needed a partner who could give and take just as hard as he could. So Tom made a choice. He backed Bret into a corner and hit him with a stiff forearm that broke his nose. It was a hard lesson, but it worked. After that moment, something changed. Bret Hart began to move with Tom instead of against him. Their matches became smooth, fast, and completely believable in a way few others in the territory could match. Bret's selling and positioning made every one of Dynamite's moves look devastating. His snap suplexes and diving knee drops hit harder, because Bret made every impact feel completely real to the crowd watching. In return, Bret Hart gained something huge from these battles. He learned structure, timing, and ring smarts from wrestling one of the toughest men alive at the time. These lessons carried into his matches in Stampede Wrestling and later into his run with the World Wrestling Federation. Bret would later call Dynamite Kid pound for pound the greatest wrestler who ever lived. Few compliments in wrestling carry more weight than that one, especially coming from a man who became a legend in his own right. While Bret sharpened his mind, another opponent sharpened his speed. Mark Rocco, known as Rollerball Rocco, was already changing British wrestling before Tiger Mask ever stepped into a ring. Rocco later wrestled in Japan under the name The Original Black Tiger. He faced Dynamite Kid across 2 continents in matches built on speed and risk. Their fights were fast and dangerous. They traded quick counters, snap suplexes, and hard bumps on the floor that fans had never seen before in that kind of rapid combination. Rocco could match Dynamite's pace almost perfectly, refusing to slow the match down even for a moment. Their timing felt like 2 men reading each other's minds, anticipating every move before it happened. These matches were more than just fast wrestling. They became a testing ground for a brand new style that other wrestlers would study for years to come. Later stars like Jushin Liger and Eddie Guerrero would carry pieces of that same high-speed formula into their own historic careers. Rocco proved that Dynamite's pace was not a gimmick or a trick to get attention. It could become the foundation of a whole new era in wrestling, one built on speed, timing, and constant motion. Then came the rivalry that changed everything. In 1981, a masked wrestler named Satoru Sayama debuted in Japan as Tiger Mask. From his very first match against Dynamite Kid, wrestling fans knew they were watching something new. Sayama blended martial arts, high-flying lucha libre moves, spinning kicks, and quick kip-ups. He looked like something out of a comic book brought to life. Dynamite Kid was the perfect opposite. Where Tiger Mask was fast and flashy, Dynamite was mean, strong, and completely in control. He grounded Tiger Mask with brutal suplexes and stiff uppercuts, then let him fly again. Together, they built matches using moves few fans had ever seen, including the tombstone piledriver, the diving headbutt, and the superplex. Their chemistry earned some of wrestling's biggest honors. Their matches won Match of the Year awards from respected wrestling critics. One legendary bout on April 21, 1983 became the first match ever given a perfect 5-star rating. In that same match, both men fought to consecutive double countouts, leaving the title vacant but leaving fans stunned by what they had just seen. This rivalry proved something huge for the entire wrestling world. Smaller wrestlers could headline major arenas. They could sell out buildings just as well as the biggest heavyweights, packing arenas full of fans who had never cared about smaller weight classes before. Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid built the modern junior heavyweight style from scratch, one incredible match at a time, changing how promoters around the world booked smaller wrestlers from that point forward. Every match between them told a complete story. Tiger Mask would fly, and Dynamite Kid would answer with something even more punishing. Neither man ever seemed willing to be outdone by the other, and that competitive fire produced some of the most influential matches in wrestling history. Many people still call this the greatest in-ring rivalry of its era, and it remains the peak of what Dynamite Kid could do inside a wrestling ring. While all of this was happening, Dynamite Kid also built one of the greatest partnerships in wrestling history with his own cousin, Davey Boy Smith. Together, they became the British Bulldogs. But before they were simply partners, they were also fierce opponents in the ring, including during the 1984 WWF Junior Heavyweight Tournament held in Japan. Davey Boy was bigger, stronger, and naturally charismatic. He could lift opponents with ease using military presses and power slams that thrilled fans watching around the world. Dynamite Kid was smaller, sharper, and relentlessly intense, always looking for the next high-risk move that would leave the crowd stunned. When the two cousins competed against each other, Davey's power forced Dynamite to work faster and smarter, while Dynamite's speed forced Davey to keep up with a much quicker pace than his size usually allowed. As a tag team, this contrast became gold. Dynamite absorbed punishment and threw himself into dangerous, high-risk moves, taking on the physical burden of most matches. Davey would then come in fresh, using raw power to finish the job and give the crowd a satisfying, explosive ending. Together, they won the WWF Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 2, cementing their place in wrestling history as one of the most beloved duos the business had ever seen. As Dynamite's body slowly broke down over the years, from the style he refused to change, he leaned more and more on his cousin's strength. Davey Boy did not just team with him. He helped carry Dynamite Kid's brilliance to the entire world, giving fans a way to keep enjoying his speed and intensity even as his body grew tired from years of punishment. Now we come back to where this story began. The painful cost behind all that greatness. Dynamite Kid's body paid a heavy price for his style. To keep performing at that level, he leaned on substances that masked the damage building underneath. His body absorbed hit after hit, year after year without slowing down. In December 1986, everything changed. During a tag match against Don Morocco and Bob Orton, Dynamite Kid suffered a severe spinal injury during a routine leap-over spot that should never have caused such lasting harm. His back gave out completely in that single moment. Instead of resting and healing the way any doctor would have recommended, he returned to the ring far too soon. In January 1987, he had to be helped through a tag title loss to the Hart Foundation, his body clearly failing beneath him as fans watched, unaware of just how much pain he was hiding. Even his signature move played a role in the damage. The diving headbutt, a move invented by wrestling legend Harley Race, involved throwing his entire body headfirst onto an opponent from the top rope, generating enormous force on impact. Race himself later said he deeply regretted creating that move once he saw the toll it took on the men who used it. He watched it contribute to spinal damage and lasting injury in wrestlers who used it after him, including Dynamite Kid and others who followed in his footsteps. This part of the story is heavy, but it should not be remembered as a tragedy alone. It should be remembered as the price paid by a man who refused to fake anything. Dynamite Kid wanted every hit, every fall, and every match to feel completely real, no matter how small the crowd or how big the stage. That commitment built his legend, even as it slowly wore his body down year after year, match after match. Very few wrestlers in the history of the sport have ever pushed themselves as far as he did, and even fewer paid such a steep and lasting price for it. Dynamite Kid retired from wrestling in 1996. He spent many years living with severe physical damage, eventually becoming wheelchair-bound. He passed away in 2018, leaving behind a legacy that modern wrestling still studies and respects deeply. Every fast-paced junior heavyweight match, every believable tag team story, and every stiff, hard-hitting style you see today carries a piece of what he built with his own body, night after night, in rings all over the world. His 7 greatest opponents did not simply share a ring with him. They shaped him, piece by piece, into the wrestler history remembers. Alan Dennison taught him respect and showed him that trust matters even in the toughest business. Jim Breaks taught him tension and how to make a crowd believe in every escape. Marty Jones taught him toughness and helped forge the stiff, relentless pace that became his trademark. Bret Hart taught him realism and gave his high-flying offense a foundation built on logic and structure. Mark Rocco taught him speed and proved that his style could become a full-blown movement in wrestling. Tiger Mask brought him to his highest peak, creating matches still studied by fans and wrestlers decades later. Davey Boy Smith gave his greatness a partner strong enough to carry it forward when his own body could no longer do it alone. Each one of them pulled something different out of Dynamite Kid, and together they helped build the wrestler the world still admires. None of them could have done it without him, and he could not have done it without any of them either. That is why people still say it today, plain and simple. He's my GOAT. Not because it was easy, not because it was safe, but because Dynamite Kid, alongside the men who pushed him hardest, changed the entire sport of wrestling forever and gave the whole world a style it had never truly seen before.